Visuals as a tool for sales. So this is something that I kind of probably first ran into when I was selling at a storage shed company. And one of the competitors that I shopped, which, by the way, I don't love doing that. I don't love going into false pretenses. So don't know if I'll ever do that again, but I did it. So there's the confession, I guess. Anyway, so I went in acting like I was your average buyer, right? And who knows, probably the competitor shopped me too, so who knows. But anyway, I went in there and he walked me through, his presentation, and he had a little I think he had a little board with like the different features of the building on it. I'm not quite sure what he had, but I think it was something like that, to where he could show me the different venting features or whatever of the buildings. And so got to do that process, and that was that. So I think it was after I went through that experience that in my location where I was selling sheds, I started doing the same thing. So I already had that sales tool there. There was kind of a display board with showing the different features of the building, and I would take people in and I would show them the different features, even if they weren't necessarily acting like they wanted me to really go into a little explainer on these different features. I found it really did seem to help. And if I took the time, took the initiative to walk them through this visual presentation, it seemed to help. And it's one of the things I'm also experimenting a bit with in my agency, if you will, is having a type of graphic that I can pull up on the screen and be like, hey, here's what you need for marketing. Here's the different layers. And it's interesting. I have I'm using a playbook, if you will, that I borrowed from another agency, and I don't love I don't know. I don't think the way they word it is very clear. It doesn't totally make sense almost with me. Like, it's not very intuitive to me. But even so, it still gave me something to point to and to talk to. And I think for the client, for the prospective client, I think it gave him something to kind of see a logic to the marketing and what components maybe that he needs for his business. So it still seemed, even though I didn't feel like I did a great job of using it to sell, I still felt like maybe it still did help selling, which is kind of funny. But I think there's something, especially for visual people, visual learners maybe, but in general, I think there's something to this idea of like just showing people, right? Like, not just telling, but showing. And so that's the challenge if you're in some type of sales, and most of us are trying to persuade people in some fashion. Is there a way, in the physical space or visually, that you can show or display the point you're trying to make, and not just resort to simply to using words that are kind of floating through the ether?